I think, when we started, I always say that what helped me start with was foolish courage. Just having the hope and the dreams to build a company that would solve problems in the real world as the world adopts more and more technology was something that we felt very passionate about. And frankly, a lot of the problems that we ended up solving along the way were things that we learned were problems because we were spending so much time with the merchants that we were working with. So obviously the ambition at the start was, let's try to change the world for the better, let's try to build something really big. But we had no idea that it'll become such a revolution in the fashion and lifestyle industry. I think, when we started Zilingo, the set of products and services that we provided were to help merchants prepare for digitization much better than a lot of businesses that were offline. And what we were trying to do was actually help a lot of these offline, like traditional businesses, adopt the technology and stay agile and basically do well in a world where the entire offline industry was going to transform forever. So the way that I think we have stayed differentiated is by not being too hung up about what it is we do, and we just stayed hung up about the problem that we were trying to solve instead of the solution that we were building. So because we wanted our mission to be about helping merchants digitize, we realized very early on that actually the B2C opportunity is actually well solved. So we realized that what merchants really wanted was help with sourcing, help with accessing manufacturers, help with accessing raw material suppliers, help with accessing financing, analytics on what it is that they should be procuring and what it is that they should be selling. I think our differentiated advantage is that we are never married to our solution more than we are married to solving the problem that we see at hand. And which is why I think people say the company has pivoted and evolved a lot since the start. I think that's a good thing, because you should always question your own hypotheses in life and at work, and every time we've done that, we've actually emerged with a better solution for the people that use our platform. Our opportunity that we serve today is fairly global, and we think that whether it is India or Bangladesh or Southeast Asia, all these countries have a role to play in terms of supply and manufacturing in this part of the world globally for brands. So I think the thing that would be different if we started in India, and India was certainly not the country where we started. We started with Thailand, Indonesia, Philippines, Singapore, and so on. I think we would probably have to double down and focus on the Make in India opportunity, which is something that frankly we love and we are trying to double down on now, but just 6 years after we started the company. So I think over the last few years, the Indian manufacturing sector, in terms of how it serves not just local demand but also international demand, is really starting to become very attractive. So I think maybe that's what we would have focused on, but better late than never. So we are definitely trying to use many Indian manufacturers and suppliers now for our brands globally. By the way, I think that we have a very long way to go in terms of doing more and doing better. In terms of policies, in terms of how mature we can really get on this front, especially in terms of mental health and coaching and mentorship and things like that. But it's something that we feel passionate about improve. Like that's definitely something we want to improve much further. You're right that mature global organizations have this, but a lot of smaller companies across Asia don't actually have these policies yet. But I think that is very behind time. So it's important to make sure that especially mental health is taken very seriously, especially coaching and mentorship is taken very seriously, especially the lens of improving diversity is taken very seriously, because actually it's not just about social justice, it's also business sense, because there is enough data to prove that companies that have diverse leadership, that have better, more flexible policies, actually end up yielding better economic results. Now that's the economic and the mathematical reason for it. I think the personal reason though is that it's actually very stressful to not just work at a startup but run a startup, and almost all our leaders are working 100 plus hour weeks, and completely by choice, because they're so passionate about the change that they want to create in the world. Now, given that level of stress, given that level of ambition, given that level of hard work, there's a lot that professional and personal development and coaching and help can actually help us achieve in terms of a sort of a collective goal. So it's not just about let me create policies to help the individual, but I think it's also about being flexible enough to accept that the world around us is changing very fast, and to enable the best outcomes we need to create support structures around the people that are working so hard for the company. So I think that's at the crux of why we try to be as progressive as possible on this stuff. And like I said, there's a really long way to go, and we're all learning on this journey. The shape and form in which challenges and advantages or disadvantages appear may not always be super obvious, right? I think we live in a world which is post Me Too, very progressive. So it's not discrimination, it's not equal opportunity, as much as making sure that you are not getting left behind. And that's not, I'm just talking about myself, but in general for women. And sometimes that takes the form of asking for what you think you deserve, and going for the goals that you think make sense, and not going for the goals that you are trying to achieve because you're a woman or because you're of a certain age. So I think once you take all of those biases away, and a lot of these biases are not just in society but also internalized within ourselves, then I think things get clearer, things get more objective. Now, the real life interpretation or the real life stories that come out of it is like, over the last 6 years running the company, there have been enough and more times where, whether it was like a trade organization or an old school vendor who assumed that I was either the more junior person in the meeting or an assistant. That has happened to me several times. And, the man that I have come to the meeting with was being spoken to, or no eye contact was made with me. And I'm sure every woman is familiar with these kind of situations where you're just like, there are these unspoken power dynamics in every conference room. And I think the important thing that I learned from these experiences is that this is a very internalized behavior for most people. They don't even know that they're doing this. And the patient and, in my opinion, the right answer to this is, work hard at making sure that enough positions of power are filled by women, enough CEOs, CXOs, leadership, but not just that, but investors, GPs, LPs, politicians, basically people that are allocating money to different causes. When all of these sets of people where the power is sitting today starts becoming more diverse, this will then trickle downwards, which is really sort of how long-term change can be created. So I think if you ask any woman and she says that she's never felt any disadvantage, I think that can't be true. But much of this is very internalized, and people are, sometimes even with good intentions, not able to deliver what is fair to you. And we have to really just be very patient in truly changing that in a permanent way. you're probably right. If it was the other way around, maybe this question would never even be asked. But in our case, it was very simple. As we were setting up the founding team, it was about who has the competence to do what. And my co-founder, who's an engineer, he was obviously going to run the engineering team and the tech. And I came from a more business background, and I wanted to run that. And I think overall, as a company, the idea and setting up the business, all of that, I was very excited about. He was super excited about the tech, and he wanted to be the CTO. So it was super clear for us from the start. And I think, if most teams think genderlessly, then they will automatically arrive at the roles and positions which are best suited to not just what a person has done in the past, but also what they want to do in their career. So I think that's how it worked for us. I am starting to see that that's working for more and more companies. In fact, I know of 3 or 4 male-female combination co-founders where the woman is the CEO. So it's definitely a change that's coming. And I think, it's not that the woman should be the CEO or the man should be the CEO. It should be whoever's right for the right role should have that role. So I'm excited to see that things are changing for the better. I'm a big fan of Bumble, by the way. I'm a big fan of Whitney Wolf and everything she does. I think the key thing is to make sure that everybody around you, your support system, your various shareholders and different stakeholders in the business, and your leadership team sees you in a manner that they would see a man, and or at least a man and a woman shouldn't be different, in the sense that there shouldn't be a gendered lens to looking at you as a CEO. And if that is the case and all feedback is objective, then I think that feedback should be taken, right? So have I received suggestions on how to improve the business and how to do better? Absolutely. So I think that is that is a given, and there is absolutely nothing wrong. And I feel like it's not just about age, but we all have to constantly learn in the age of technology, because things are changing almost every single day around us. So I think it's important to make sure that you are taking suggestions and advice from people who you are sure mean well for you and the company, and you cut out the noise from the people who you're sure or you're not sure of. So I think I do that pretty strongly and pretty stringently. I think I am very open to criticism and feedback, but from the people that have a very high degree of trust for myself and the company as well. So I think that answers some part of that answers part of your question. I think on the other side, it's actually somewhat super exciting to see Bumble's journey and a few other companies that are led by women, because I think very in the very near future, in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years, maybe in the next 2 to 5 years, we will see more companies which are well capitalized or going public, which are led by women. And that will definitely shake things up, both in terms of how women aspire to be in these positions, as well as, the market, even thinking about a CEO in a gendered lens. The ideal situation is where the gender doesn't matter at all. But obviously, we all have some ways to go before we get there. My greatest fear when we started Zilingo was, I think, just around the usual stuff that you think of when you start a company: product market fit, and are consumers going to like it, are sellers going to find the product useful, how will we staff the team. I think it was a lot of that. Like I said, the process of, or the decision of starting a company was guided by a lot of foolish courage and a lot of pathological optimism. So it wasn't, I wasn't overthinking it at all. I was just on the ball, on the tasks at hand, and I just kept chipping away at it until those problems went away. And then, of course, new problems came, and then you start solving them, and then there are more challenges, and then you're thinking about growth, and one by one. I think overthinking things can sometimes be super problematic. So I think dream big and just go for it, and then take every day as it comes, and keep working hard at it, chipping away at the goals. To the second part of your question, what would then my advice be to young women who want to pursue ambitious dreams? Right, I think ambition is key. And ambition can be, don't let anybody else define your ambition. If if it's something that you want to do, which is, which the world may say is too small or too big, it doesn't matter. Your ambition is what your ambition is, and you should be free to do it. And if you choose to do it, I don't think it matters what anybody else thinks. I don't think it matters what the people around you think, what the media thinks. I don't even think it matters much what your family or friends think, because if they really love you and they want to support you, they'll support your dreams. So I think the first advice I would give is just, be optimistic, keep trying, and keep working at it. Right, don't give up. Second is be resilient, right, because you will keep trying, and then there will be 9 failures for every one success. So be resilient to it, and take it in your stride in that sense. And the third thing is, I think I would just say, try to be exceptional at what you do. Try to get better every single day. Think about personal growth as the key goal. Your goal should never be about money or a financial goal. It should really be about creating value, and professionally in the world as well as personally. And that personal growth comes from learning every single day, improving every single day. And I think people, men or women, who believe in that, um, tend to grow and compound at an altogether different level than those who think that I know everything, and I have all the answers. Because frankly, the world around us is changing so fast, as we've all experienced in the last 1 year, especially. It's important to acknowledge that we don't have all the answers, and we just need to learn and learn. I guess they're not secrets because everybody talks about them, but they're very real for sure. I think one is, you have to work hard, right? So hard work, I actually think hard work is extremely important. Sometimes people say that if you work smart, blah blah blah, but frankly, there is no replacement for working very very hard at your goals, and doing whatever it takes to achieve them. Second is, I think, having the right kind of mental framework and right kind of mindset towards success and failure, because you have to accept that failure is a part of getting to success. It's impossible to get big successes without having very massive failures that probably other people can't see. You will be the only one to experience them, and you can't let that discourage you or break you. You've got to learn from it. And failures are lessons. You learn lessons when you fail. You rarely learn lessons when you succeed. The third thing I would say is, keep focusing on personal growth. If every day you have learned something more and you know more than you did the previous day, net, you'll be much better off than where you started. And in that vein, I think everybody's journey of growth is different from everybody else's. So instead of comparing ourselves to each other, if we can just focus on our own growth, I think that probably leads to a higher likelihood of success. We spoke about Whitney Wolf at Bumble, so I think Whitney Wolf at Bumble would be one. Super inspiring, amazing story, amazing background, amazing product, and then amazing outcome with the IPO. Second, I would say probably Reed Hastings at Netflix. I think very few people know that when the company started, it was much more traditional, and I love reading everything that I've read about the company and how it's transformed its culture, how it thinks about the organization, but not just that, also about just how innovative they are and what a big part of popular culture Netflix has become. So definitely Netflix and Reed. And I would say third entrepreneur who I find super inspiring is probably Elon Musk, just because he aims very, very high, right? He aims literally out of his aims are literally out of this world, which I think is super awesome. So, super inspiring in terms of think big and go after your dreams. I love Indian food, but I eat that at home most of the time. So I would go with Japanese. So Singapore has a lot of great Japanese restaurants, and I'm literally like at one or two of them every week. So I think generally Japanese restaurants all around town in Singapore, I'm always I'm a big fan.